Star Wars needs to ditch EA. The news broke that EA has cancelled an upcoming Star Wars game that was being developed by Visceral Games before it was closed down in 2017 and was then taken on by EA Vancouver. Not only were fans excited for a new Star Wars game, especially after the disappointing releases of Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, but it's also worth noting that Uncharted's Amy Hennig was directing the game. Industry veteran Jason Schreier broke the news on Kotaku on Tuesday after speaking with several sources. After a period of silence, EA released a statement which read, "There's been speculation overnight about one of our Star Wars projects. As a natural part of the creative process, the great work by our team in Vancouver continues and will evolve into future Star Wars content and games. We're fully committed to making more Star Wars games. We're very excited about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order from Respawn, and will continue to share more about our new projects when the time is right." So yeah, Star Wars fans are understandably pretty disappointed, but I ask you this. Should we really be surprised that EA has once again screwed up when it comes to delivering fans a great new Star Wars game? You may recall that back in 2013, not long after Disney purchased the rights to Star Wars, it was announced that the Mouse had made a deal with EA to give the publisher exclusive rights to all Star Wars related games. Essentially that means that EA and EA only can make and sell new Star Wars themed games. EA was already in hot water following the release of the mediocre Dragon Age 2 and Dead Space 3 in 2013. And some fans worried EA might not be the safest bet for great new Star Wars games. Fast forward to 2018 and those fans were dead right to be concerned. EA is currently one of the most loathed publishers in the industry and is synonymous with shady business practices including full price games stuffed with loot boxes and microtransactions, and games that aren't even finished upon release like Battlefield 5. The Star Wars franchise hasn't fared well either. We all remember how lukewarm the reception was for Star Wars Battlefront, and we certainly all remember the shitstorm EA brought on itself with the absurd grind and reliance on loot boxes that were found in Star Wars Battlefront 2, despite the fact the company had said it learnt its lesson. Hell, the controversy got so bad that entire governments started weighing in on whether loot boxes should be considered gambling. So, as you can see, the latest batch of bad news is just one in a long line for both EA and its rights over Star Wars. With that in mind, I felt compelled to make this video to implore the powers that be at Disney to try and find a way to scrap the exclusivity deal between Star Wars and EA. Look, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan in the world, and if you've watched my review of The Last Jedi, you'll know I'm not exactly thrilled with the recent Disney Star Wars films. That said, I do recognise that Star Wars as a universe has enormous potential, and in the past we've seen that explored with great games such as Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, the LEGO Star Wars games, the original Battlefront games, and Star Wars Race for Revenge. And yet, since EA acquired rights to make games based on the franchise in 2013, we've had nothing but disappointments. In fact, in almost 6 years we've only had 2 games from EA. Pretty disappointing when you consider the potential of the Star Wars franchise and how much money EA has to get projects going. It says a lot that the best Star Wars game we've had since EA's acquisition of the rights came from Warner Brothers under the LEGO license with LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the LEGO games now and then, but the best games should be coming from the publisher that has full rights to Star Wars, not one that has a loophole thanks to LEGO. I can see why Disney went with EA originally. The company hadn't fully shown its incompetence by that point, and it did have the money and resources to seem like a good fit. However, over the past few years, EA has proven at every turn that it isn't capable of delivering high quality games that you'd expect with the Star Wars series, and I think it's time Disney took a second look at its contract. Though unconfirmed, there were reports that during the Star Wars Battlefront 2 Loot Crate debacle, Disney reached out to EA to tell the company to fix things and stop bringing such negative press to the Star Wars name. Disney paid $4 billion for the Lucasfilm rights, and surely it isn't about to let that money be potentially squandered by EA's bad press. I think it's high time that Disney cut ties with EA when it comes to Star Wars games, or, at the very least, removes the exclusivity part of the contract and allows other publishers to greenlight Star Wars games. Can you imagine Star Wars games created by non-EA developers such as CD Projekt Red, Naughty Dog, Square Enix or Ubisoft? Hell, look at the great story-driven games Sony has produced lately with God of War and Spider-Man. Imagine giving one of their studios a crack at it. Frankly, I struggle to think of a single publisher less deserving of Star Wars than EA, perhaps maybe Activision. I've played many great Star Wars games over the years, and it seems such a shame to see such a deep franchise in the dire straits it's currently in when it comes to gaming. I hope that, one way or another, we see more great Star Wars games in the near future, with or without EA. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like, leave a comment, and share it with your friends. That really helps my channel to grow. If you're new here, then feel free to subscribe. See you next time.